Hello and welcome to the Daily Atheist Morning Show. It is Friday. Can you believe we made it to Friday?
Yeah.
Finally. So good morning, everybody. Are you ready for the weekend? I am ready for the weekend. I've got Damien Marie at Hope. He is joining me this
Hey,
morning. There we go. Hi, Damien. How are you today?
good.
Are you ready for the weekend?
I'm tired. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to sneak up on me, I'll tell you. And for our special guest today, we have got Jim Majors. Let me bring Jim in. Good morning, Jim. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you, Chris?
Doing great.
Damien? Nice to meet you.
Yes,
Good to meet y'all.
it's awesome to have you guys both on the show. I didn't know this until this morning, but Jim is from the same little patch of West Texas that I'm from. That explains
Yep.
the accents. Why I
Just
don't
a
hear
little
that he
dry
has
dirt
one.
clod.
What's that?
Just a little dry dirt clod.
Yeah, yeah. That's actually kind of a nice way. I usually don't. I usually refer to it as well. Odessa, Midland is something less than that. Never mind. I love
Yeah,
my
the
hometown though,
the
right?
black hole.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was like, if Texas has an ass and there's a zit on it, it's Odessa.
Yeah. I've
Um,
always said that West Texas is the asshole and Southeast Texas is the armpit.
yeah, yeah.
I lived in Houston before. Yeah, I lived in Beaumont.
Really.
Yeah.
I don't know. I say all these things in jest, but actually the people from where I'm from have all been really wonderful. I love slash hate my hometown. If you're really from there or you live there now, you also love slash hate. There's anywhere else you'd rather be. But I
Right.
remember being a young kid and hearing something about the Gatlins turning their back on where they were from and not something like that, and because they were from there too. And I don't want to be that guy, so I'm not going to be that guy. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning.
If you don't mind, there's for some of the folks who may or may not know you. I'm sure there may be some people out there who. But if you don't mind, introduce yourself to our group real quick.
Hey everybody, I am Jim Majors, and this is my mustache. And I have a YouTube channel at youtube.com/Jim Majors where I do anti-apologetics, response videos, debates, and all other kinds of fun stuff. Oh, and I have a video segment called "I Must Ask You a Question," where I invite on theists to discover and uh, explore their beliefs. And I live on a farm, and my goats are my children, and that's about it.
Goats are cool.
Yeah,
That is
goats are
cool.
cool.
Wonderful. Well, it's nice to have you on the show. Thank you for being here for reals this time. Last time it was like this comedy of errors. My fault. It was totally my fault.
Hey
Um,
man, I mean, I'm happy to be on. I'd much rather be on with my good buddy Aaron though, but that's okay.
yeah. Well, you know what? I tell you what. If possible, I would like to have your good buddy Aaron on again as well. Wouldn't be
I'm
against that.
sure I'm sure something could be arranged.
Considering everything's been canceled and people are sitting at home, I think finding guests may be easy. The problem is the time. The
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
which is why I
Yeah.
was talking about that afternoon show. Remember, we were talking about
Right,
this
right.
morning. Yeah, I really, real quick, I want to shout out to the chat. There's Dave, Critical Cripple, Junk Shop Library is here. Godless Granny, good morning, Granny. She's here this morning. Willie Ignorant, Link Thomas, Uri Bench. Uri Bench is actually in Jerusalem, right? He's in Israel. I think he's in Jerusalem. So I mean, we have people, and then Doorknob Head. I haven't seen Doorknob Head. He's been like too good to come by. He's
Doorknob Head's
he's
pretty
too
pretty awesome.
fancy. Yeah, yeah, too fancy to come by. I don't know. He's cray cray though. He's one of my faves. Anyway, Doorknob Head is
He's
here.
nuts.
Yeah,
He's off the rocker. He's a few fries short of a Happy Meal, but he's cool.
truth. Hashtag truth. And then there's also Boomer U. Haven't seen Boomer U yet before. I don't think you're new.
I haven't, no.
No, yeah. And then Sandy the Saint. I like Sandy the Saint. And Link Thomas, of course. Link is here. Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for joining me. I think I got everybody. There's quite a few people in there this morning already, so I may have missed somebody. Kristen is here. Do you know Kristen? Best name ever.
Um, I maybe I don't. I'm not sure.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, she's awesome.
Hello.
She's she doesn't do streams, but she really helps shill people who do streams. She's wonderful.
Oh, cool.
So
I could use a shiller.
yeah. So good morning, guys. Let me do the switch thing here. I'm gonna put us back over here to where we can talk at each other. And thank you for joining me this morning.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to be here.
I didn't get to tell you that what you're seeing in the StreamYard is not what everybody else is seeing. It's a
Oh
little
yeah,
more.
yeah. I have the video pulled up.
You're good, man. Oh, okay, good man. Good. Okay. So hi, Damien. How you doing? Did you have a good week?
Yeah, pretty good. I almost finished our video for the history of Voyagers, so that was rocking. It took me like about 5 hours to put the
Proof.
pictures and stuff in.
It does,
But
huh?
hey, yeah, and I cut out a few things. I took off 2 minutes from what you'd given me.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
I still have the original too. So for those who don't know, Damien and
oh,
I
you're
are
also
what's that?
you're gonna go and fix it back.
No, Damien and I are working on a series called the History Voyagers. It's about the history of religion, and this is not about Christianity. This is thousands of years before Christianity, the beginnings of religion. It's so the first, of course, not the oldest temple, but the first series we're doing is on Göbekli Tepe, and we're gonna drop the first video
cool.
probably. Well, I guess I should finish my part of it again today, Damien, and then we'll be ready to drop it. We'll probably I'll finish it today, and we'll probably premiere it tomorrow. So that's going to be interesting. I want to go ahead and
it's so awesome. Göbekli Tepe is one of my favorite archaeological sites to read about and things like that. I find it extremely fascinating how it just emerged out of seemingly nothing.
Well, yeah, it looks like it, but if you know more about the archaeology in the area, which we talk about, there's the stuff that kind of starts. It's really not exactly like it, but it's close.
Yeah,
It's
there's other temples in like a semicircle south of it and to the north west of it, I believe.
Well, and there's actually the north of it is where you have Nebel Kori, which is about 10,500. So it's a little bit about 1,000 years younger or so.
Right. Well, it's not as far as excavation wise. It's the, as far as I can tell, it's the best excavated, if that's even a thing, archaeological site. Well, and it's, I mean, it's got things like I believe Göbekli Tepe has the first recording or the first account of domestication of dogs.
No, domestication of dogs happens about almost 30,000 to 25,000 years ago.
No, I'm talking about like the engravings, as far as like written accounts or recorded accounts.
Well, there's the two pillars in the center are anthropomorphic. They have like human-like hands, and they do have like a little fox or something on each side. And I know that the people in Israel about 12,000 years ago actually domesticated foxes, not dogs. So they eventually did dogs, but they had foxes. So it's not unthinkable because those people did travel, north to Syria and stuff. It's not unthinkable that people in Göbekli Tepe had foxes and dogs as pets.
Oh, yeah, foxes as well.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Or some kind of coyote, some kind of probably a fox though. But I know that in Israel they definitely did the fox.
It's possible it was a fox because some of the species that the Israelites used, for example, they were desert foxes. They were accustomed to not needing much water or things like that. That's actually one of the reasons why pigs became frowned upon. In addition to their unclean sight.
Well, I think that some of that had to do with religious bigotry of why not liking the pig. Besides claiming
that's how the religious bigotry formulated, or one of the reasons.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, Jim, if you don't mind, of course, I love the history stuff. I'm all about history. We're actually doing a video series. I don't know. I told you about me and Damien doing a video series.
Yes.
But really, I'd love to hear about your show. And you've got this. Which one is your show again? Tell us about it and tell me how long it's been going on, how it's working for you. How many subs do you have now?
Not enough. I think I have a little over 600. Maybe less than 600. I don't know. More than 550, less than 650. But it's youtube.com/Jim Majors. It's just called Jim Majors because the other name I had for it nobody liked, and they knew me by my name. So I've had it for a little over a year now. don't do as much on it as I should. I do have a video editor, and we're working on putting out a video series. So I'm really excited about doing that. It's actually the first time that I've told anybody. So surprise, everybody! Hi. I'll tweet about it later, maybe if I don't forget. Yeah, I just do anti-apologetics are what the videos are going to be. But lately, but the videos that are on there right now are debates of mine that I've done on modern day debate, and there's many more of me on modern day debate. As a matter of fact, just go to YouTube and search Jim Majors. There's plenty of them. That's what I do mostly, is religious debates.
I thought you actually hosted your own debate. So
no.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no, I don't host my own debates. No.
Gotcha. Interesting. Well, before the show, Jim and Damien were talking about debate tactics, and then they started talking about ancient history. I was like, man, these guys are both way smarter. You guys need to get off my show. You're making me look bad.
No, not at all. No, I'm really excited about the Gobekli Tepe video.
It's gonna be 10 videos actually.
10 videos.
That's even better. Are they like an hour long each?
Yeah, well, it's gonna be about 20 minutes to half an hour each, and
okay.
I want to focus on specific things. And
right.
In the first video, I already say that it's not the Garden of Eden. There's a lot of woo bullshit about Gobekli Tepe that's just not true.
Right.
Well, we made a point about that, pointing out that it wasn't.
So just it's kind of similar, but the video series that I'm working on is also breaking down things, misconceptions about claims, in a way that I haven't seen anybody do it before. But there's I don't know if you know about the minimal facts argument, or the accumulative case for the resurrection, or something along those lines.
Yeah, I've heard of cumulative case. It's not.
Right. It's like 4 to 10 claims that secular scholars agree with theists on, that they claim is support for the resurrection of Jesus, like the disciples being persecuted, and the extra biblical sources, and so on and so forth. And so I'm going through and doing a video on each one of those reasons, those arguments that they give, and really breaking it down and saying, okay, how much evidence is there? What do these extra biblical sources say? And then does it support, or is it evidence to support the resurrection of Jesus? No. Yeah, spoiler alert. You just ruined it for everybody. So thanks.
Oh, wait, darn. I mean, I thought this was like a trick question. No.
No. Man, I was going to do a whole series on that, and I got to do something else because you must have already seen the movie.
No, I just
ruined it.
He must have seen the movie.
Well, I just know that even if the supposed Gospel of Mark was the first gospel, and in the Gospel of Mark there wasn't a resurrection, so done. We're done.
Thank you to everybody in the live chat who's subscribing. Junk Shop Library, and I think there were some other people. Sansi the Sane, you guys are kick ass, and I love you.
I'm gonna subscribe and share it for people to, because I have thousands of people that follow me. So
you're damn right you are.
Better talk about philosophy now, or else.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's part of the deal here, is about, drawing, getting, they say it all the time, a rising tide, right? Any of you guys can finish that. So it's awesome that they're subscribing. Cool. So in other words, though, if I were to host a debate on my channel in the afternoon/evening, not as a morning show project, but as a different project, you would possibly be willing to come on and debate with somebody.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm always arguing with somebody. Might as well be recorded.
Gotcha. Have you met my sister? I don't know. Never mind. She just likes arguing. Hey, Damien, just real quick.
I think I was married to her.
No, be correct. Damien, the guy. Remember the guy who was on my show before? Oh man, I'm sorry for forgetting his name, but he was the one who had alternate histories for like
Richard
Abraham?
Madsen.
No, not him, but
Bernard something.
Bernard Leo Bell or something. He wants to come back on. Remember, I told Steven Tiger that we kind of went easy on him. He wants to come back, no
I wanna be
gloves
there.
on, and I thought maybe you would like to just be here on that
Oh,
day, and I could
yes.
let you guys talk.
Yes.
Okay.
Especially since it's said a lot of history stuff, and that's an area that I mean, I'm not as good on the Bible as I am on, like, the upper Paleolithic, stuff.
Oh,
But I
right.
still know enough that I
Interesting.
know that he's talking nonsense.
Right. So you're
And
probably really good for like evolution arguments and stuff.
well, evolution of religion arguments, I would be really good.
Ah, okay.
Like, so to me,
So like
just
early animism and
yeah,
totemism and,
see,
and
yes,
ancestor
Absolutely.
right,
worship and stuff like that.
right, yes, I have
Yeah.
videos on all that. I have,
Badass.
to me, pre-anism starts about 300,000 years ago,
Hmm.
and I show the evidence of why that is so.
Burial.
And well, not just, well, there's first thing is not burial. First thing is actually throwing people in a pit, and at 350, and then there's 28 individuals. They put a stone tool on top that's unused, it's red,
Right.
and then the Homo naledi in South Africa and Rising Star Cave. It put
Right. With the clay paintings
no
on the
painting,
walls.
no. Rising Star Cave. They actually, like a cemetery. They put bodies down there.
Right,
They
but
went
it doesn't have a constellation though on the inside.
no. I don't know why they call it Rising Star Cave, but maybe it has something that's younger. But what I'm talking about, I don't know why. I don't personally remember why the name is that. But there's two like deep tunnels. I can give you a link on it
Okay.
if anyone's interested. I have links on everything. I have like about 500 blog posts about archaeology and stuff, and all kinds of links in it and references. So the cave had two really, really deep. I can't remember if it's a half a mile or something. It's like really deep, and they went and not buried, but they like laid bodies, multiple bodies, not all at the same time, or in two different.
Like a vertical.
Well, a little bit vertical. Mainly, it's like
Oh,
somewhat.
so a walking slope.
Well,
Not
but
like throwing somebody in it.
no, not throwing. You have to
Okay.
go up, like up a little hill, and down a hill, then crawl, and I mean, it's like, unbelievable. But but so that's at 250, and then you have the Neanderthals burying by 130 in Croatia, and then anyways, but so there's all this stuff, and then to me, at the same exact place in Israel, that you have humans and Neanderthals at the same time, the humans start burying exactly like the Neanderthals, and they start using red ochre on the bodies like Neanderthals, and they have mountain steering tools, which is a Neanderthal tool that's at least 50 to 100,000 years old already for the Neanderthals. So humans start doing the tools, and they put them in the graves. They do the graves, which Neanderthals are already doing, and they do red ochre on the graves, which to me, I say it seems like that they taught us early religion. or they may have been doing the behavior and humans copied it. But like the stone tools, they take like about 3 days to learn if you were to be taught with words and everything. Like they've done experimental archaeology and like made the tools.
Right.
So it's not something you could just look at and someone has made and just make it. Obviously they were stone tool makers, so it's not as hard as it would be for us. For us, it's like, where do we start?
Right. I mean, most likely by accident, right? Like same thing with fire. I mean, we didn't make the first fire. We harnessed it by accident,
I agree.
and likely with a rock. Using a rock to crush open a clamshell or something like that. Just a simple stone tool, and it breaks and it shatters off in the right angle, and you've got a sharp edge, and then you've got the first
3.4 million years is the oldest evidence of cut marks on bone.
Interesting. And what about on on Neanderthal?
On bones
Like,
being cut?
yeah.
Cannibalism? Well,
Yeah.
I think some of the cannibalism could.
Well, not just cannibalism, but warfare as well.
I don't see any evidence of warfare really in the Paleolithic. You get really warfare like we think of it. The first kind of conflict was like interpersonal violence, or it could be like a small genocide. It's about 14,000 years ago, and then in Africa, probably has to do with water because there's like a limiting
Territorial thing.
Yes, probably was something like that.
Vital for resources.
Correct. And also climate starts to change at certain times, and then you have people's movement, and the population drops, and Anyways, I want to hear more about, because I know probably Chris is going, Davey, enough about your history.
Oh man, like I'm fascinated about it. I mean, well, I feel like I should have you on.
Well, we've actually, Damien and I have talked about doing sort of like doing a topic of history on Fridays or something. You know, we could actually have that specific as a topic and have you back for that if you want. I'd love to. Yeah, I'm a big history fan. My favorite history is more modern, but like not too modern. I don't know.
I like anything to do with religion, but my formal studies have been more or less strictly biblical.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, back to the debate thing. Do you? Oh, did it again, didn't I? All right. So, do you have anybody lined up to debate soon? Or, right. Oh, I remember my question. On your channel, you said Christians come onto your channel and ask questions.
I ask them questions. Well, and they can ask me questions. It's more of a discussion, but the discussion is always kicked off with a question regarding their belief.
Cool.
Well, the best name ever talked about weekly topics. Well, what Damien and I were talking about, since he's a history person and he's a co-host on Friday, doing history on Friday, and be our theme on Friday, or probably Monday or something. I never thought about doing it for the whole week. Yeah. So, Jim, how long have you been doing these shows? Who have you had on, by the way?
I haven't had on very, very many Christians. I've had on one of the authors of the Story of the Cosmos, and I've had on S.J. Thomason, and I don't think I've had any other theists than that. As friendly as I am, it's really hard for me to get a second debate with somebody that I've debated, and it's really hard for me to get even a discussion with somebody that I've debated.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of I've started my little channel here. I've had a few people come on, and so far everybody I've asked to come back on the show has done so. So I don't think I have that kind of. Of course, I don't debate and argue with people, but
right.
But sometimes you do, and it's good.
I tell you, sometimes, all right, because I'm the host of the show, I didn't ask you here to argue with you. I didn't intentionally ask you here to blindside you with hard questions about anything that you're not prepared. It's a coffee. We're going to have a good time, and but sometimes people come on my show and they start talking about things that just kind of, I can't help myself. Oh man, you start talking about woo and psychic readings and stuff, and you're going to see this vein come out in my head. I'm going to be like, oh, there's aneurysm. Yeah. So that I try to be a good host. Damien's like, go for it, man. Just unload on them. Do the thing.
No. I say attack thinking, not people. So I do say do it. I'm a caring firebrand atheist. I attack thinking, not people. I address behavior.
Amen, brother.
So yeah. But yeah, I'm brutal. I have no compunction attacking an idea. But I try to do it with respect. I don't call people names.
Yep.
Even like I just recently did a kind of a discussion debate with this woman who says she's a God scribe. So God personally talks to her through her brain, and she's like a God psychic. And I challenged her all over the place. What's funny though, the thing that got her the most mad is when she tried to tell me it was impossible for her to do cold reading over the phone. And so then I play acted doing that very thing and showing her she was wrong. She got pissed because I go, oh, let's see. I feel like it's either Bill or Bob or Ted.
People don't like being wrong.
I know they hate it. And I showed her, oh well, it can't be cold reading because I'm over the phone. I'm like, oh yeah, because that can't happen. You can't just randomly ask things like, I'm feeling a letter M or J. You have a J in your family? I go, if you are getting information, you should know. You don't need to ask. You need to ask. You don't know.
Absolutely. And if you can't explain it in an elevator speech, if you can't explain it to a 5-year-old, then you don't know it. You don't understand it.
Exactly. Which
I can explain most things in a tweet. So if I can do that, then you should be able to do it in a full argument, and maintain your composure. I mean, there are sometimes I get on Twitter and my my explanation doesn't suffice, or they'll straw man my argument or commit some sort of fallacy, just twist whatever they need to where they don't have to be wrong. And I'm usually nice. And in fact, I always say that you can be right and be kind at the same time. You don't have to be a dick to get the point across.
Well,
but sometimes people just step over that line.
Well, yeah, I always say that you can't punch someone in the face with the truth and expect them to listen. You got to offer it as a gift. They can
exactly, or a flying elbow. Flying elbow works sometimes.
I'm just answering.
Punch won't do anything. You got to get like 7 or 8 punches, but one flying elbow, that's it.
Right, and you're more likely to hurt your hand, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you got a solid, just just one to the dome.
So you do philosophy then, obviously, which I love, because there's some atheists that seem to not like all the intellectual stuff, which I think is wrong.
I love philosophy. I've done the necessary coursework and nothing more, but I enjoy talking about it. Yeah, but it's not something that I enjoyed or do enjoy or would want to do in the future. As far as studying it and researching it and learning it, it's not my thing.
I got a couple of comments from the chat. One was from from Brainbug to Damien, saying that Holy Kool-Aid has a great series called Cold Reading, or about cold reading and other con techniques. You might find that interesting. And then Science Talk TV, his name is Chris too, by the way. He asked the question, you ever just ask them questions until they realize they are confused? He's asking this to Jim, but we were actually talking about that before the show.
Yeah, all the time. I think that the Socratic method has a lot of utility, but only to an extent. People, including myself, at a point get tired of you asking them questions and just want to have a discussion.
Well, Damien, that was part of Damien's deal too. Asking them about just to define what they're trying to back up or what.
Yeah, and my way is kind of simpler than the Socratic method, because it's just 1, 2, 3, always 1, 2, 3. And so if you say, like I said, I believe in God, my question is, what do you mean by God? Which is the ontology, the first part of my thing. And then if you can achieve that, I'll keep going. But you won't, because you'll offer another unknown. Oh, it's spiritual. God is spiritual. Well, what do you mean by spiritual? Or they'll say God is a creator. And I go, creation is a behavior? I'm asking you about the thingness of the thing you're talking about, not what you say it can claim to do. Let's start with what it is first.
See, I would, unfortunately, I'm on your show, but I think I would have to disagree with you. I think it would be considered the Socratic method, but a Socratic method that is structured. You have a flow chart that you want to follow, and it branches off in all of its ways. But it seems like the method that you progress through that flow chart is very Socratic.
Well, I would say it's dialectic, and Socratic happens to be a form of dialectic. So I would say I use dialectical rhetoric, using in a sense a form of truth, in a sense investigation and process, and then I use rhetoric in the form of the ability to make people be persuaded by what you're doing. So by the truth. So the truth's still the truth. But I mean, obviously you have a good professor that's really exciting and you remember everything and you feel on fire to learn. Well, there's also people that are not. And to me, a dialectical rhetoric is the ability not just to know truth, but be able to transmit it in a way that is exciting or is entertaining, but also that makes people want to learn, want to understand. It inspires the thinking in the other person's mind.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah, and you're free to disagree with him all you want. I mean, I'm fine.
It's
my show, not his.
I agree with that. It's okay. I'm not like, okay, I agree with you now. God dang, calm down.
It's just me you're not supposed to disagree with.
But I think that Chris does a good thing, though. I do like it when you disagree, Chris. I don't feel like that you're having people on the show and then you just let them rant, some
No, no, no.
nonsense.
Well, you remember
So
that
I
one guy
think
come on talking about that right-wing nonsense? I'm like,
well, I
no,
wasn't even sure. I was like, I don't know, because I don't know Canada. He was talking about Canada stuff. I'm like,
no, but
I don't really
damn.
follow Canada. So you're saying it's right wing. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll trust you because
Well,
it sounds wrong, but I don't like to claim to know things I have no idea about.
anyway,
Thank you, Brainbug, for subscribing. That's awesome.
see, that's awesome. Yeah,
And if you're watching and you haven't subscribed to this show, subscribe to it right now.
cool. Well, I'm gonna, as we go forward, there are things happening in the world that just kind of make everything different. The world has changed, and even before the world changed, I was already threatening for months now to do some kind of afternoon, evening thing. Now I'm really looking forward to the idea of doing something like that and having, obviously it wouldn't be daily. Daily's a tough row to hoe, and I've already got a daily show.
Tough, man.
But maybe doing a weekly thing, some kind of debating on the show, on the channel. As a weekly
If I may suggest something, with everybody staying indoors and everything, I mean, I wonder how many people out there are starting to do midday shows.
That's exactly where my brain is going.
Like depending on how long this outbreak goes on and the events following it that force us to follow this schedule, like having the kids home and everything. A midday show wouldn't be a bad idea, because I mean, I think there's already quite a few evening shows, and it's really hard to find an open slot where somebody, where your subscribers aren't somewhere else already.
Okay, so let's talk about that. That's beautiful that we should talk about that. I've already been discussing with the wife, because I'm really breaking myself into many different places here without fully representing what I want. I've been talking with the wife about creating a show called The Atheist Voice or something along that line, and it would be between noon and 3 o'clock my time. So it would be a midday show, because that seems like a ripe and ready kind of thing. But that would be also a daily live stream.
That's also my nap time.
Yeah, see? My nap time too, and that's the hard thing. Maybe I should do it right after nap time, like 3 o'clock. Oh, that's genius. 3 o'clock. That gives me time to wake up from the nap. Okay,
yeah,
all right.
And then you're not grumpy.
See? But then the weekly show was more, the debate thing was more of a weekly, because, I mean, it's hard to get guests, and then getting guests who want to argue with each other and stuff like that. It'd be
right.
Very
tends
hard.
to be a late night thing.
Yeah. So good idea. I like that. I appreciate the midday idea. Me and the wife have already been threatening that.
Yeah, it was just a thought that everybody else has probably had with me, but I.
Well, I expected my there's a couple of dynamics. I expected my viewership to go up as people started doing things, but what happened was people are sleeping in. Also, my other friends, I have other content creators now. They're home and they're streaming more, which pulls more of our viewers from here. So,
yeah,
but there's millions.
You're ahead of most of the U.S.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, I time everything off of Eastern time. I go by Eastern time now for the show, because that just makes it easy for everybody. 9 a.m.
Right, but what I'm saying is that it's earlier for the majority of the U.S.
Yeah. So, but that kind of where it all. So now, whenever I look at my viewers and I look over and I got 17 viewers, it's more of a true number. Those are 17 people that I have found along the way, and they have come and watched my show. Not counting my friends, because they're off doing their own thing now, and that's kind of cool. It gives me more of a real number of who's there, and so it's kind of cool. As I go forward, though, I expected that number to grow, but like I said, people are sleeping in. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I've been thinking about. Some people suggest switching to an afternoon show. Like we're talking about, sometime between noon and 4 o'clock or something. But if I do
in exchange for this,
yeah. But if I do that, then I lose my morning show. And in a few months or a year, when things get back to normal, morning show might be a really good thing. Commute to work kind of, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to keep this and consider developing something else. The hard part is just the production. You know?
I mean, you can always just call it the Daily Atheist Show.
Daily? Oh, there you go. Well, and that's something else I've been saying.
With the amazing Chris Mallard.
The Daily Atheist is not really just me, though. I am Chris Mallard. I have a Chris Mallard channel that I'm planning on growing. I want to put this thing I do called Redneck Shakespeare.
Has your nickname ever been the Duck?
The Duck. I'm sorry?
Has your nickname ever been the Duck?
Darkwing.
It was Darkwing?
Darkwing. Yeah, I've been Darkwing on the internet since the internet.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah, just kind of stuck. And of course, that's complicated.
Yeah, I've got mallards in my pond. So.
Oh, gee, cool. I've got back here too. Well, Drake Mallard was Darkwing's name.
Right.
I didn't even think about that.
So,
I have some Canadian geese that are coming through right now. They're real dicks, and they won't let them in the pond. But freaking Canadians, man!
You know how the Canadians are.
They don't even apologize. Like I think that maybe they're like Montana geese.
Got to be shit American somewhere in there.
Yeah, they gotta be because it's some garbage New Yorker geese or something, you know.
Yeah. Junk Shop Library says don't switch. The morning show is becoming a part of their day. You know, I get it. There are a lot of people do the morning show. I think it'll be a good thing. That's why I think possibly two. The deal is I got to find co-hosts. If I can find co-hosts to help me run this stuff, that'd be so much better. Because I'd like a day off on these. Anyway, so there's that. So Montana geese, shit geese.
Yeah.
You know, if Chris, the atheist pastor, were here, he would tell you a story about how Australia sold us shit trees back in the 1800s, and that's why we always have fires in California. Anyway.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
I thought that was because of the piss poor conservation, quote unquote, efforts.
Well, actually, what he'll say so back in the 1800s, they sold us some eucalyptids, and they populated. And according to him, and I think this is, I trust him. I assume he knows more about this than I do. Eucalyptids of this nature thrive on fire. Fire helps them breed. And I'm like, you see a fire and you're like, it makes me hot.
Interesting. I always thought it was because they wouldn't let them clear out the dead underbrush. Like they wouldn't let them cut down the old dead trees and go through and do that. And so that was like, you know, nature's way of clearing out old growth.
I'm sure there's a combination of both.
That's definitely a factor.
Multiple factors, of course. Sammy Jenkins wants to say hi, Jim. I don't know.
Hey, remember Sammy Jenkins? How you doing?
And of course, Dave is here. Dave, he's back.
Dave, what's up, CC?
I'd like to get some airtime with Paul Ogie. And whenever I first started doing this channel, I saw him on Neil the 604 Atheist. Are you familiar with Neil?
Yeah. Oh, I love Neil. We shared a hotel room together one time.
Oh, really? This is no time for romance. You need to keep those stories to yourself.
It's a long story. It's actually not that long.
Well, go ahead. Tell us.
Oh, no, it's long.
Your romantic tale.
I'm just kidding.
Well, the chat is waiting with bated breath. Was there flowers? I mean,
no, I actually.
No one was dishonored, I'm sure.
I actually fell asleep on my bed with my suitcase. I had been drinking a little bit. We were at a bar before, but I was asleep before he even got in bed. We'll put it that way. Gotcha.
Well, that's not as funny as my story. I'll make up my own story for humorous reasons. Paulogia, yes, I love
Paulogia.
Paulogia.
I heard somebody say Pelogia.
That's what
I think one time.
I'm guilty. I am guilty. Yeah,
are you one of the Pelogias?
I think I am, and that's why Kristen, best name ever, in the chat right now is verbally spanking me and correcting me.
That's hilarious.
Paulogia. Paulo?
You know, I don't know that he says his name enough though. I think he needs to say his name more in his videos. I think so. I also know Paul. I've met Paul. We shared a hotel together, not a hotel room, but we were in the same hotel.
Well, again, I saw him on Neil's channel, and I was like, hey, I need to get you on the show. And I've just never followed up, never hit him up to be on the show. So I need to get with him. He looks like he'd be a lot of fun. You know, I mean, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
What kind of?
And so is Shannon Q. If you can get her on too, she's awesome.
Well, Shannon Q seems very cool. I've seen her in chat. I mean, I've seen her in videos. I've been on a live stream with her once, and I was like, hey, I have this show. Would you like to be on it? She said yes. The next day, I sent her a Twitter message. Twitter is, Twitter. I barely know how to work Twitter myself. She never responded. I have not tried again.
Oh, totally try again, man.
Yeah.
It's Twitter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. That's what I'm saying. Well, there's a difference between a tweet and a message. And I sent her a message. So
right.
The tweets, they kind of get lost. They just disappear. I have no idea how Twitter works. People tag me and stuff, and they tag me with stuff. I have no idea what's going on. I'm just some innocent fool who.
I get a lot of messages, so I have it set up to where if you're not following me, I think I have it set up where if you're not following me, then you can't message me. No, if I'm not following you, you can't message me. Well, you can, but it goes to another folder. I forget what it's called. I'm trying to remember. But anyways, so I check it like once a week. It's a message request. Gotcha. To a message request folder, and it's separate from the regular inbox. So if I'm not following you, that's where it goes. So if you message me, I don't respond within a week, then either it hasn't been a full week yet, or I just don't want to respond to you. But it's probably the first one.
No, the second one is for me. If you say hello to me and that's all you say, I will never respond.
Oh, right. No, I didn't.
Right. If I get a hey or anything like just like one word, like anything that's not like a question or like a statement, it's just like, okay.
Well, in my case, no, I sent her, it was quite a paragraph at least of going, this is who I am. I've had these people on my show. This is the times. Kind of thing. But, again, it is Twitter and people are busy. I'm busy. The more of a content creator I become, the more busy I understand. It's cray. So I don't think nothing bad about her at all. Whenever I'll do it again. I'll approach her again and I'm sure she'll say yes and come do the thing at the place. I mean, Eric Murphy, he's real busy too, is one of the same things.
Love Eric.
Looked up one day, I sent him a message, same day actually, sent her and him the message at the same time. And then looked up one day.
He's generally one of the sweetest guys. Like he really, really is one of the sweetest guys I've ever met. And I kind of feel bad for him in a way with all the pressure that he's under at ACA, because he puts up with a lot, and he's way too sweet for that place.
I don't know anything about the ACA. I've never been there. I just know that he every time I've seen him or dealt with him, he has just been awesome and sweet and a wonderful guy. He was on our show. I had him on the show.
The ACA is great. I'm not saying anything bad about the ACA. I'm just saying that there's a lot of pressure there. It's a lot of work. A lot of work.
Gotcha. Sammy's asking about Paul's milky neck. I don't know what he's talking about. Link says, "Hey." Paul's
milky neck.
They love Eric. Every time I mention Eric, there's the love for Eric starts coming through the chat. I just need to get him back on the show.
So Paul's milky neck is the earliest detailed account of Paul the Apostle's martyrdom, his beheading in Rome, and according to the earliest account, which comes from the Acts of Paul, it's an apocryphal text from hundreds of years after Paul is executed, and in it, when he is executed, when his head is chopped off, it bounces 3 times and it produces a freshwater fountain in each spot that it bounced. And instead of blood coming out of his neck, milk came out, and it spurted out actually onto the collar of the executioner. And actually today you can look it up. There's a place called Tre Fontaine, and it is the venerated spot of the beheading of Paul, and there are 3 fountains there.
I like what Damien said, but we know what you meant.
Because you said it actually, and I said, well, not actually.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. No, actually, it's historical. There's a plaque.
That makes it, yeah. Well,
and then Noah's Ark is on top of Mount Ararat.
Well, no.
There's a sign.
I think what Damien was talking about the fact that it actually was somebody was beheaded and became fountains. That's not what you're saying, obviously.
Yeah. No, I was saying that actually you said actually milk ended up on the executioner's collar or whatever you said.
Anyway,
that's what I was joking about. Actually, milk came out of his neck, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like totally. 2%.
No, fat free.
Yeah. I mean, close enough. And we're talking the first century, first century when he was executed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kristen says, I read it in a book and everything. Yeah, that makes it real. That's makes it official. They put a plaque. I mean, the dude said they put a plaque.
Right.
Speaking of no evidence, I was going to ask you. Well, I was going to ask you. Speaking of no evidence, I was going to ask you about the argument. What is it? Oh, I forgot. Presuppositionalism, because you say you do counter apologetics.
Yeah.
So, do you address that?
Yeah. So I've debated two precepts that immediately come to mind that I've debated are Satan Kate and Darth Dawkins. So presuppositionalists, whenever we're talking about like the argument and like the debate style, like the people who debate presuppositionalism, they always have a script that they want you to follow. They basically get you into this argument where they want you to justify your axiomatic view of the world, whether it be morality or creation or where we come from. So the presupposition is that that God exists, and God is their source of everything, and they believe that without God, that we can't know anything to be true, essentially.
Right. I was just saying that.
It's nonsense, because I always tell them, that we all start the same, which is our own mind not knowing. So the first thing we do is feel. The next thing we do is think about the feeling that occurred. And then after that, we usually reason, which is an ordered set of thoughts, not just regular thinking. And then from there, to me, you can start making logical things, even if you don't have a real world, just your own self. Is this what I'm thinking making sense? So, and then from that process, then we can apply it to what the actual, believed real world is.
Right.
So I say they can't get outside of this. They start like in their mind, they act like they have a pre-thing, but you can't have that pre-thing. The only thing is all the same. It's that all of us start with our own mind.
Okay, check this out. Okay, all right, everybody. Okay, close your eyes. Just real quick. Just close your eyes and picture this. Okay. Okay, now imagine a disembodied mind from which all that began to exist is contingent upon. Now imagine that this disembodied mind created us the way that we are in order to achieve the disembodied mind's sovereign game plan, which we may or may not be privy to. Okay. And being as it's claimed that our human minds cannot possibly understand the will of God, we likewise cannot know whether what we perceive as revelation from God is in fact true. So we have to question whether or not the influence is from God, as we have no testable, verifiable method to reach any conclusive understanding of anything. So when you imagine a disembodied mind, you can open your eyes. What did you see? What does an eternal mind look like? Is it something? Is it nothing?
Salma Hayek's breasts. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, I was wondering when you were going to get to the point where I could find something, because just saying a disembodied thing, that doesn't actually help me understand what it is.
Sure, but all matter was created from that.
How did you get to that? Because I start with
exactly
that I don't know anything. I start with feeling and sensations, and then thoughts. I don't have this pre-existing, presupposition. How did they get to that? Seriously.
Yeah, we have to claim that this God is the cause of everything, but is caused by nothing.
Yeah, they're born knowing, because obviously they have to be.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, so what do we need God for? Because if nobody believed in any God today, what reason would anybody have for asserting that that something is true, or that they even exist? If there was no God, how would you argue your existence?
Yeah. Yeah. We're the best name ever said she saw a flying spaghetti monster was her vision. Other people, yeah.
I remember my first time doing LSD.
Just like it was minutes ago.
Hours. I'm peaking right now.
I try to avoid it before the show, but that explains the background.
You're talking about how they do the disembodied mind, but they also justify the Bible as totally inherently, a presupposition too, that it has to be true, because that's generally where they get the claim of the God. So somehow the Bible also is a presupposition before thought and before everything, which is ludicrous.
and I usually attack that with authorship, depending on what they're talking about. It's usually authorship's my first go-to. If it's in the Pentateuch, then it's authorship. New Testament gospel accounts, authorship. Pauline epistles, authorship.
Right.
And how often
They-
is
they
that?
are-
How often is that part of your debate? What do you generally debate about specifically? Because you've been ranging from. I mean, you got a range there. I'm just curious what you like to debate about specifically.
I generally debate on something to do with Jesus, whether it's his birth, his divinity, the resurrection, his historicity. I enjoy New Testament arguments, but and I have a New Testament studies degree, but I'm currently in a PhD program. I'm pursuing a PhD, which hopefully by this time next year I will be graduating with it. It's been over 4 years now, and it's focused. That degree is focused in Old Testament studies and Hebrew Bible, but I really enjoy New Testament Gospels mostly. The Synoptic Gospels is fun. Mark and priority is something I like to talk about. Church tradition reliability. Let's see what
Could you
else.
explain some of those?
What's that?
I said, could you explain really short synopsis of what some of those are?
Sure. Which ones?
Well, the ones you're talking about knowing the historicity of Jesus, about knowing the Gospels. I mean, whatever.
So the Synoptic Gospels, Mark, Matthew, and Luke. They're the first three Gospels. They are three Gospels that closely align with each other as far as their accounts, and in fact borrow from one or the other, and it's excluded from John, sometimes included. I include my arguments if I need to, or not. Not usually, only whenever there's like a Trinity argument, or maybe
Trinity arguments such as what?
Like the triune nature of God.
Oh yeah, I had a debate on that.
Yeah, they'll use the Johannine comma as a source of that. No, 1 John 3:5-7, I think.
I hadn't heard of that actually.
Or I might have that messed up, but basically it says that there's a Father, the Son, and Holy Spirit. It clearly outlines the Trinity, and it's the only verse in the entire Bible that clearly describes the Trinity, and it's a later interpolation, and it's not in the earliest manuscripts of 1 John.
We have a question.
Because I would have thought there wasn't even one that said anything about the Trinity.
Yeah.
But a later iteration, right? Yeah, iteration. Yeah. Junk Shop Library wanted to ask, what's your position on the well, before we do that, let me just say good morning, Epileptic Skeptic. Nice to have you here today. So Junk Shop Library wanted to know, what's your position on the historicity versus mythicism of Jesus? Then this is for Jim.
I'm a Jesus historicist. I believe in a historical Jesus.
Oh, historical Jesus. That's quick and easy.
Yep, quick and easy.
Gotcha. So you're not obviously then a Richard Carrier supporter.
Richard Carrier does good scholarship. He's a brilliant person and great speaker. But I believe that he has obligated himself to an argument, and he's kind of centered his career around it. And I think he's stuck there. I don't think he's a bad scholar though.
We actually had somebody on our show. That's the guy Damien and I were talking about earlier. It sure seems like he went, you know what, this is a good idea. And then he decided to just stick with that idea no matter what other evidence was ever there. And we're like, wait, but it says this and it says this. I'm like, where do you even get this stuff?
Well, and he says that Abraham got his God maybe from Hammurabi, and Abraham was at the same time as the Battle of Kadesh. And it's like,
Well, I mean, there's evidence that we do get some things from like Hammurabi's code, Code of Hammurabi as far as like laws and things like that go. I mean, there's a lot of borrowing from other ancient Near East cultures.
Absolutely.
But
yes, true.
But this guy's notion is that when Abraham was walking and talking with the Lord, he wasn't talking with the Lord, he was talking with Hammurabi. Hammurabi is the Lord in the Bible. That's what his notion is. And I'm like, wait a second, it's because he met and I'm like, listen, Abraham met somebody who literally considered himself a god, the Pharaoh of Egypt, and did not call him Lord and walk away. Anyway, there was lots of reasons why his arguments didn't work.
But it's so frustrating arguing with people who have just these batshit crazy off the wall ideas, that have little to zero justification for it. It's almost like, trying to argue something that's unfalsifiable, and trying to prove to them that it doesn't say that,
Well, that's kind of where we went. We were, remember we were having that conversation before the show about vetting my guests.
Right.
I get them on the show, and sometimes I get them on the show, and it's not till we get here that I realize, oh man, what'd I do?
Oh man.
So I had this guy, it's just in the middle of the show, he started talking about that. I'm like, no, that's not that. These things you're saying, this is not right.
Did I mention that women are not worth as much as men?
You haven't mentioned that, but we knew that because the Bible told us so.
Okay. I just didn't know if that was an issue, for me coming on here or anything.
No.
Oh, okay.
Wait. I'm snapping now.
I mean,
me and Damien are like,
actually hold that belief.
We're right over my head.
I can only keep this up for so long. I don't know if I was going to call that bluff or not.
Well, we hadn't gotten to the opportunity yet on the show to discuss things like alien abductions and how they're ripping lips and assholes off of cows and how they're probing rednecks. I'm from West Texas and a redneck by nature. So when the night sky turns dark, I get worried. Am I going to get probed? Yeah. Are they going to kiss me first? These are the questions I have.
Have you heard of Art Bell?
Yeah. I listened to Art Bell when I was like 13.
I used to love to listen to Art Bell. He was the best, man. And it was so funny how many people didn't realize that it was just him.
Yeah. Well, he had the callers who'd call in with their woo and their crap, and there was all kinds of stuff that went on that.
But did you know that a lot of those personalities were him?
No, I didn't know that.
He would change his voice and he would play the other part just to rile people up.
Wow, I didn't know. Well, it's for entertainment value. It worked because the guy was.
Yeah, it was great. And if you listen to it regularly, you would know, like, you could get to know who his characters were and like when it was him. And then you have somebody call up and be like, "Yeah, the exact same thing happened to me. Yeah, he got me with a dildo too."
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. Kiss before probe, Rody or nerdy rodent. That is the
buy
rule
me dinner
every time. Yes. It's not like you got to meet mom or anything. Just right. Yeah. So I did not know that. Me up. When you're young and you first come into this universe as a consciousness, you don't know what's going on, and you look around and you learn. And as you get older, you learn more about what's real and what's not real. And our world is, even back then, full of a lot of things that are not real. Mm-hmm. And real, of course, Art Bell, I think he's even dead now, right? Allegedly.
I'm sure he is. Yeah.
But so when I was young, like I said, 12, 13, I would listen to that going, is this real? I didn't know these raw, they'd have things on the show is like this myriad of different topics that they would cover, from this pseudoscience to this pseudoscience to this aliens to flying rods to whatever. And as a young person, I just couldn't tell. I wanted this stuff to be real. I wanted to get my little infrared cameras and point them up at the sky to find aliens, because that's how you do it, right? Because that's what they, and then of course, as I got older, I parsed the things out that I believe and I don't believe.
Whenever we're young, another thing that we start to learn is who we can trust and who we can't trust. And we start to, build a foundation of trust with people that are close to us, our parents and things like that. And sometimes people lie to other people, whether they know it or not. They don't tell them the truth. And when you have that much admiration for a person, and and you see a certain infallibility with them in everything they do, or you try to excuse it in some way, and you become susceptible to accepting these beliefs as truth, and then you proceed to live the first 16, 17, 18 years of your life with that belief, then it becomes extremely hard to question it, especially when it's founded on dogmatic principles.
Absolutely. Best name ever. Kristen points out the truth is out there. She wants to believe. Now, anybody who's seen knows what she's talking about, the alien thing. All right, so I believe in extraterrestrial life. Believe based on lack of faith or lack of proof. Right? I don't have evidence. Now, here's the deal. I believe that based on the numbers of stars and galaxies and planets that have to be out there, the sheer numbers, there have to be out there somewhere statistically other intelligent beings.
And how many have we discovered?
Well, wait, but that they're close enough that there may be only one in some galaxy we can't even see yet. You know what I mean? The likelihood, but the likelihood that they're coming here is extremely unlikely. Now, I believe that they're out there somewhere, and I could be okay. I don't believe it is fact. I believe it is I want to believe. I understand the difference. But to make the big leap that they're not only close enough, but that they would be interested in coming to us, I have a hard time with that. I'd love to believe they're coming here. I'm a sci-fi fan. I love it all. And then to come here to do things like I mentioned jokingly earlier, to rip lips and assholes off of cows and to probe rednecks and hillbillies. That's just, that's obviously.
And to build the pyramids, obviously.
Yes, out of stone, because there's nothing better than stone.
And they have to do a few test ones first, like course. Starting in Iran and China, and then eventually, go to Iraq, and then finally go to Egypt because you have it right now.
Yeah.
What if there is extraterrestrial life that is near us, but they have a law that you cannot operate your spacecraft past this boundary, and it happens to be beyond a boundary that we can discover, but sometimes teenager aliens grab their parents' spacecraft and come to Earth and use their magnifying glass on the anthill, so to speak, and then fuck off.
Okay. Yeah.
There's no evidence of that. What I say about
there's no evidence that there's not that.
Well, but that's a different thing. You're making a positive claim. The positive claim holds the burden of proof.
Well, we had the cows without lips and assholes.
I don't need proof.
That was a thing.
Damien, I have faith.
Oh, there.
Oh,
right.
See?
Because there's evidence of something, obviously.
Yeah. See,
we've all seen the holes in the cows, right? Kind of looks like a magnifying glass to me.
Hey, have you ever known a redneck or hillbilly to lie?
Yeah.
Especially whenever it came to things of a sexual nature. So that's just pretty good. Epileptic Skeptic wants to point out that the alien thing that we were joking about makes more sense than any belief in any deities. See, the whole deity thing, as far as deism and the universe is God, I can't speak to that. That's just like blah. But the whole, do I believe of the God put before me as the Christian God that comes from the Bible? Absolutely not. I could say I absolutely do not believe in that. Blah 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 blah. So part of the reason why I came up with that is because somebody asked in the chat about atheists. Are we agnostic? Are we atheists? Me and Damien have been over that a couple of times. No.
Yeah.
No. We're not.
I didn't say that.
No. I know.
I've had that talk way too many times.
So the question, let's go ahead and pose the question to you though. What do you consider yourself?
I consider myself a hard atheist.
There you go. Yeah. Especially after Viagra came out, it worked for me. It works for you. I'm sorry.
Sure, it's 9:03 and I haven't peed yet. Okay, I'm.
Okay. All right. So all right. I get you.
Hard atheist is good to find, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I guess what we'll do is we'll let you go pee.
No. I was just kidding.
No, he's over dancing, doing the pee-pee dance.
Yeah, I'm a hard atheist also.
Because they are asking in the chat. Hard atheist is somebody who actively does not believe, right? You just
Yes, I make a positive claim that there are no gods.
Okay.
Yeah.
Best name ever finally subscribed to me. Thank you so much.
And I tell them a simple reason for me, there's a lot of them, but one of the reasons is all gods of any kind that's meaningful requires the belief in the supernatural, because that's what they supposedly would be or be able to do.
Mhm.
And so,
Oh,
because
right.
there's no evidence of supernatural in existence in any test, in any way in the real world that's discernible, it's then very obvious to say that because of that complete lack of this quality being available, it's like if I said I'm going to grow wings tomorrow. You don't have to say, well, maybe it's possible.
But his
It's
version's shorter.
beyond reality.
Right.
Shorter.
Yeah. It's
Well,
basically the Kalam of William Lane Craig's Kalam cosmological argument.
I just want to point out that Doorknob Head, see, he asked what a hard atheist was, and I didn't read the rest of the question because, you know, it's Doorknob Head. But I have now read the rest of the question, and the rest of the question is, what is Jim doing with his hands? I missed that part. Doorknob Head is a bad man.
I am refurbishing my smoking device.
There you go. Let's see, best name ever. I just want to get any other claims or questions out. It looks like they're all good. I'm not going to say that, Doorknob Head. You're a bad man. Oh, so Epileptic Skeptic wants to point out, so you're gnostic atheist.
Well, I'm an ignostic with an I, atheist, which an ignostic denies the concepts like God, supernatural, spirit, soul, has any meaning. And so it's like an ontological argument against them, that because they have no substance, I don't even have to address them. I mean, you're talking gibberish, in other words.
Yeah, well, and not just you don't have to, but that you don't have any interest to, because they're until somebody defines what God is.
Mm-hmm.
Right. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna let you go because otherwise Jim is just gonna pee himself and continue on through the show, and I don't want him to have to. Tell me about your first time on the Daily Atheist. Well, they just kept talking, man. They just kept talking. And I was dancing.
No, dude, I love it. It's one of my favorite appearances on somebody else's show, I think.
Awesome. Well, we'll have to have you back. Obviously, we'd love to have you back.
Absolutely, man. Love to.
So thank you, Damien, for co-hosting again with me today. Thank you, Jim, for putting up with me and my disorganization as I do all this stuff and try to maintain coherence.
Thanks for having me. I can put up with you for an hour anytime.
Awesome. We'll definitely have you back. And thank you to everybody in the chat, guys. Have a safe weekend. It's Friday. You know, I don't know. Did I mention this? That we do sci-fi Saturdays. Jim, do you like sci-fi?
Yeah, okay. I like sci-fi.
So on Saturdays, it's 2 hours later, we do sci-fi Saturdays. And so you're welcome to come join us on one of our sci-fi Saturdays. Tomorrow, we're actually having Chris Shelton. He's against Scientology. You familiar? Are y'all familiar with him?
I'm not, but then again, I avoid Scientology like I do a coffin Walmart now.
Understood, no doubt. Yeah, I'm gonna have him on the show tomorrow, so it's gonna be great, and we'll invite you to that too. So thank you guys, and thank you everybody in the chat for showing up. Y'all have a great night, a great day.
Bye.